Hey, happy Monday. Thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox with Hail Trace. We do a noon forecast every single day, and we appreciate you hopping on today. Let's talk about your big hazards today. All severe hazards are on the board for today. That includes an isolated tornado risk, damaging wind risk, and large hail also likely with some of the storms today. Daily storm risk on the plains. So that means that we have a chance for strong to severe storms today, tomorrow, and on Wednesday. Daily storm risk there. And then, of course, if you have not stepped outside yet, you're lucky and you've enjoyed your AC. Congratulations. We do have some high heat today. I could feel it last night. I could feel it this morning as well. Temperatures are definitely on the rise, and unfortunately, they're going to stay like that as we head throughout the next few days, probably at least into the middle of August, if not through the entire month. But let's take a break from the forecast real quick and talk about our upcoming events. So this is the NTRCA Not So Mini Trade Show. This is on August 8th. Hail Trace will be there. We want you to stop by our booth. So if you're heading over to Grapevine, Texas for the trade show, we would love for you to stop by our booth and give us a chat. So you can register at ntrca.com. Again, that is in Grapevine, Texas, just outside of the DFW area. All right, let's take a look at what we saw yesterday. About 24 hours ago, we did get some decent hail in some of these areas across the central and northern plains, just smaller than the size of a tennis ball, so not too bad there. But of course, we did see some strong wind as well, anywhere from the plains over to the Mississippi Valley, and then even down to the south in places like Tucson, Arizona. You also saw some small hail and some strong winds from an isolated storm down there. So that was on Sunday. As we look ahead to Monday, we have another chance for strong to severe storms, most likely adding to some of this rainfall in places where we got rain yesterday, northern plains, Midwest as well, also expecting to get more rain right along this area. But we saw some rain yesterday down to the south and east. Your Sunday afternoon rain looked pretty plentiful through places like Georgia and Alabama. A lot of places getting some rain there. We're still seeing showers and storms across the East Coast once again right now. You can see those showers and storms moving anywhere from Tennessee, Kentucky, all the way out to North and South Carolina and to Virginia. Even some of our Midwestern communities are getting some rain. But if you look farther off to the west, we are dry out there, dry and hot, and very hot here in Oklahoma City as well. So taking a look at some of those showers and storms, even New York getting maybe an isolated shower or two, our East Coast friends getting some of those showers and storms that are moving right along the coast right here, kind of parallel with the coast. Showers and storms will continue later on this afternoon and evening, looking a little bit more promising for severe weather the later on in the day that we get. Let's talk about that heat. Temperatures are a little bit warmer than where we were this time on Friday. We're at 90 degrees here in Oklahoma City, 88 out in Dallas, 96 in Vegas. Can anyone beat 96? I don't see it. All right, Vegas, you are the winner once again with those high temperatures. 96. Wow, Oklahoma, we're pretty close. We've got 90 degrees out in Chandler, 91 in Yukon, 91 in Chickasha. Ooh, did you see that? 96 in Stillwater. Stillwater, just as hot as Vegas right now. It is very hot, and then of course we've got the humidity, so it feels even hotter here in Oklahoma. Down in Texas, 88 in Dallas, 90 degrees in Denton. So let's take a look at those feel-like temperatures. It almost feels like 100 degrees here in Oklahoma City right now. We're at 97, 97 in Dallas as well. 105 is what it feels like in Shreveport. I'm nervous to look down in Florida. Oh, hey, 102. 106 in Corpus Christi. Oh, I hope you like the heat because we have several days over and over and over with these extreme temperatures. Just like what we're seeing today, it looks like we'll see those very, very high temperatures into the rest of the work week, if not through a good portion of next week. And August just overall looks pretty hot. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. I do have your extended outlook for your temperature and your rainfall. However, I want to get to those storms today. So the instability looks pretty promising anywhere from the northern plains to the Mississippi Valley, and then right in the Kentucky, Tennessee corridor here near the central portion of the Mississippi Valley. So this is going to fuel those storms that we'll see later on this afternoon and evening hours. You can see even into the late night hours, storms are using up a lot of this energy right in this area that stretches from places like Nebraska and South Dakota all the way down to the south and east. Now taking a look at that hail model, where will the most significant hail be? I think that'll be in the northern plains. We're talking South and North Dakota, Nebraska. This is about the area that this time of the year, climatologically, we get the best chance for that large hail. This is the area that yesterday we saw some pretty large hail as well. Could we get hail farther down to the south in places like Indiana, Illinois? Yeah, it's possible. However, I think that we're going to have a better chance farther out to the west through the central plains and northern plains here. I'm actually quite impressed. Usually through the overnight hours after the sun sets, this hail model will start to go down. The intensity will go down for the likelihood to see some large hail. That is not what we're seeing here. Even through the late night hours, it looks like we could still see some large hail. Now, it just depends on how organized these thunderstorms are. We will see. Taking a look at your hail forecast here, I actually may go back to this later on and add in an orange panel right in this area. The more data that I look at, the more I want to raise these hail sizes up just a little bit. But I do want to go ahead and show you where we're expecting the most likelihood to see some large hail. We're talking North Dakota into Fargo, Sioux Falls also looking like we should get a pretty good chance for some hail in this area. I think that we'll have a better chance the farther north that you go. Sioux Falls, you may have some isolated storms around here that may miss you on either side. So we'll see where exactly those storms will line up later on today. Okay, going through the evening at now, we still have some showers and storms, a little bit more likely in places like Cincinnati, Louisville, all the way down to Bowling Green. You're going to see more isolated storms here. So while these hailstorms, these hailstones could be pretty large, this is going to be more on the isolated side, and a pretty low chance for places like Philadelphia, looking at some hail probably closer to the size of a quarter. Now, if you head farther back to the west, where I was talking about, and the central and northern plains, we could get hailstones up to the size of a tennis ball. I was right in between that tennis ball to baseball sized hail. Yesterday, we saw hailstones 2 inches and a quarter at least in size, so that's almost tennis ball sized hail. I think that we could see something very similar once again today. Another big factor about the storms today is going to be the high wind. So we're talking about high wind up to 95 miles an hour here for some very, very isolated storms. We'll probably see wind closer to that 65 to 75 mark in places like the northern plains, and then even down to the southern Midwest, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, looking at that high wind threat today. What about that tornado threat? It's low, but it is possible. And then again, that will be in the northern plains. This is North, South Dakota, Nebraska. So that's also on the board for today. All hazards possible with those storms along the northern plains. If you know anyone up there, or if you are up there yourself, make sure that people are weather aware. And then of course we could get some strong storms that could be damaging out of this as well. Let's take a look at the radar and talk about the timing of this. So here we are right now, right around noon. It's pretty quiet in this area. However, storms will start to fire off into the evening hours, late afternoon, evening hours here. Starting out isolated, becoming a little bit more clustered and widespread as we head into the late night hours. As I mentioned, it'll be a little bit more widespread farther up to the north in North Dakota and northern South Dakota. However, a little bit more isolated farther down to the south. Now, sometimes with these storms, if they are isolated, then we could get some pretty good hailstones out of them. However, with some of these, they want to bow out at the very end of their lifespan, and they want to give us some really strong wind. So we'll see exactly how they organize as we head into the late night hours tonight. That'll most likely continue into tomorrow morning as well for places a little bit farther off to the east. All right, let's take a look once again farther down to the south. We were talking about those strong storms in this area. So here we are this afternoon. It'll be pretty sporadic. You'll see some isolated showers and storms on and off for some people this afternoon. Not too worried about the severe risk anywhere from Ohio all the way down to the Virginias. However, if you look farther back to the west, you could get some isolated storms that will produce that strong wind and large hail. The tornado risk in this area is very, very low. One thing that I'm seeing from Predictor here, from your future radar, I'm seeing this line of storms start to bow out through the late night hours into places like Cincinnati. Anytime that we see this signature on radar, we start to think, could this be strong wind? So if you see that like that backwards C shape there, we'll think about strong wind. Now right now I'm not too concerned about it. However, as we get into the early morning hours, I do want you to be aware and make sure that you have those weather alerts turned on in places like Cincinnati and into central Kentucky, because we could see some strong wind out of this. And I do want you to be weather aware of that. That could also be damaging wind to houses and mobile homes. Make sure you're not outside during this time and have all of those weather alerts on. I also talked about some of those showers and storms that could produce some small hail in places like North Virginia all the way up into Maryland. That's definitely possible. However, I think it's going to be very, very isolated, and that hail will be on the smaller size. We're also watching for a few showers and storms near Louisiana, and then farther back to the west, we're mostly dry, but you could see some isolated showers and storms down to the south into Arizona and New Mexico, and then farther up to the north into the northwestern portion of the U.S. into places like Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. So we'll be watching that for you. I don't think these will be severe. I think the farther west that you go here, you're going to see some non-severe storms, just some much needed rain, especially for this area that has just over and over and over gotten hit by that wildfire risk. And once again, today, there is a wildfire risk up there. Here, take a look at it. That's our next graphic right here. There's the wildfire risk. It's elevated, so I think that's a level 1 on a scale of 3 or 4 there. Your flooding risk farther out to the east, so this is going to be those areas that we see some stronger wind with these storms. That'll be through the late night to overnight hours, so by your morning commute, you could see ponding on the roadways. That could slow your morning commute down just a little bit on Tuesday. And then, as I mentioned, farther down to the south into places like Tucson, southern Arizona, and western New Mexico, we could also see that isolated flooding risk. Now, I mentioned the fires that we've been watching over the last week that has caused some hazy skies into places like the northern plains and even as far south as Oklahoma City. Yes, we still have the fires ongoing. The surface smoke looks like it's still pretty dense in places like Northern California and into Washington and Oregon. What's your biggest watches and warnings right now? That's the heat. We have been talking about the heat, dangerous for workers to be out in too long. Make sure that you are hydrating, and taking breaks inside when you can. We do have some excessive heat warnings and watches in place all the way from Oklahoma to Kansas, southern Nebraska, out towards Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana as well. So we'll be watching that for you, but I think that's going to be sticking around over the next few days. That is not going away anytime soon. As we look into August, those temperatures stay above average. I think that we're going to see that extreme heat over the next few days at least. Okay, looking at tomorrow morning now, you can see that those showers and storms will start to dissipate through the mid-morning, if not the late morning hours. By tomorrow afternoon, most of the rain will be farther out to the east, and then we watch for that next round of strong to severe storms, which are likely once again tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours. We'll have an eye on that for you tomorrow. Temperatures tomorrow, Oklahoma City reaching triple digits. 100 degrees here in Oklahoma City. We've got 97 down in Dallas, 101 in El Paso. Who's in the triple digits? Did I get them all? I think I did. Oklahoma City really sticking out there, reaching that century mark. It looks like temperatures are going to stay above average as we head into the rest of the work week. You can see that even into early August to the end of the first week of August, temperatures are likely to be above average for the entire U.S. here. I think the only place that is not looking to have above average temperatures is in far southern Texas. And you know they're going to be hot either way. So what we're looking at here, this map, it shows the likelihood to be above average. So temperatures this time of the year, our average is right around 95 here in Oklahoma City. We have a pretty decent likelihood to be above average. Denver, an even higher likelihood to be above average. So you're looking at 92, you could be looking at 98. I mean, we're talking pretty decent likelihood to be above average. out in Denver as we head into the first week of August. What about that chance for rain? Over the next 5 days, looking pretty promising across the Midwest, anywhere from the Mississippi Valley, the northern Mississippi Valley, all the way out to the Midwest and even into the East Coast. Very, very dry farther off to the west. Maybe an isolated shower or two anywhere from New Mexico to the Oklahoma Panhandle into southern Colorado and Kansas. But it does look like this is the area that's going to set up to be pretty dry as we head into August. Hot and dry into August through a good portion of the U.S., especially the central portion of the states. All right, and we have not talked about the tropics in quite some time. They've been very, very quiet. A lot of that due to the Saharan dust that's been suppressing activity farther off to the east. If you're curious about this, I'm sure you've probably seen this on social media. You can head over to hailtrace.com. We actually have a blog about it. You can get some more in-depth information that we don't have time to go over here, but I do want to talk about some activity that we have going on in the tropics. So we have a disturbance right now that is looking to take aim as far out as Florida. So we'll see what happens over the next few days. What the National Hurricane Center has said right now is that through the next 2 days, it has a very, very low, nothing at all, chance for any significant formation. However, looking about a week out, we've got about a 50% chance for significant formation, and that, of course, will be as it reaches some warmer waters farther west just a little bit. So we need this to move just a bit farther west to get a little bit more information on it for this to really start to develop. So we've got our eye on it. It's still quite far out to give you too much information, but we're watching that for you. Hey, thanks for joining us on this Monday, kicking your week off right. A little hot out there for most of us, but thanks for joining us either way. Hey, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. And if you're curious about those hail maps, we'll have a brand new hail map. I mean, our meteorologists track the storm as it's happening. So you can take a look at those hail maps and any of that large hail that falls tonight, any of that strong wind, or even those tornadoes that are possible tonight. You can take a look at that at hailtrace.com. Give us a call to get you set up on a plan at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. We'll see you same time, same place back here tomorrow at noon.